Good morning, all you happy crafters. This is Lisa, One Happy Place Creations. If you ever want to send me an email, there's my email address, and my YouTube address is One Happy Place Creations. Of course, you know that because you're on watching me. Okay, so there's that. I also just finished a new sign, woohoo, for my Etsy shop. Paper, lace, and bling at Etsy.com. I didn't have one of these, so I did it with hot glue gun. But I had some fun making that. And but yeah, go check me out. I've got craft projects. I've got all kinds of bling and lace, and I've got paper products. I've got books that you can make. These, you can add your own pages, or there's pages in it, and then you can just add all the embellishments. So kind of fun stuff. Go and check me out if you are so inclined. All right, so we're back to the 6x6 mini album, and I have decorated the envelopes. Make sure I'm still in camera here. You saw this on the last tutorial. Flip this back over, and today we're going to I've got the papers already fixed up to cover this, but I first want to show you the other one that I covered. Let's see, this goes this way. I'm trying to keep this together because it's taken me a while to figure out. So this one is the one that I covered off camera so I could figure it out. It was not as easy as I thought it was going to be. I'm going to have to fix that because it's bending. I didn't get it far enough away right here, so it's bending the paper. So I'm going to have to fix that. This is a die cut I got. It's a Stampin' Up! Die cut. I'm sorry, I don't know the name because I just, I'm notorious for throwing the packaging away. But this is the largest flower from a Stampin' Up! Die cut. I don't know if you can still get it or not, but they're really pretty stinking cool. So what I did here is the 3 flaps. I incorporated the sizes that I wanted. This is a section of the flap that's covered with Tyvek, and I thought that was a pretty cool look. Room for journaling here, and the flowers, I just kind of liked it. I will embellish this, probably put some coloring on it or something, but I'm not going to do the other page like this one. There's a pocket here, and underneath this is, I folded back the piece of the corner of the envelope that came up like that. I folded back that corner and hid it with a pocket here, and then I did the same thing on this end with a pocket here. And decided after I finished it that this was not the way I was going to do the next one. So I'll show you. I mean, you can kind of figure out how I did this one, but the one I'm going to show you is going to be done totally different. And again, I'm going to have to go back. I will probably try and take an X-Acto knife and just get a little section of that paper off of there very carefully. But let me get it. Okay, and this went this way. Again, remember on these we have our hinge side. All of these sides are going into the hinge of the book, and then all of these sides still have pockets to utilize for tags. I know in one of the videos I kept calling them flaps because I couldn't think of the word tags. And then the other, oh, this is still that one that pulls out. I've actually moved it, And then the other envelope I have is here. And I did cut a little section off, about 1/8 of an inch off of the end of the envelope, and then I decorated it, and this is the last page. All right, so now let's get to the getting here. We have this envelope here to just move these, leave them open and move them kind of out of my way. Sorry, I'm moving the camera again, but I don't want to lose my spots. Now, I also have, because when you're doing these kind of books, don't throw your strips away. Don't, you know, all of these are very usable. I played around with a different die cut. It's just a Spellbinders, one of the tag die cuts, but I can't remember which one it is. But I wanted a flat edge so I might still end up using this for something, but I don't know. And these are just all pieces that have been cut off of the papers that I've used. So I just save those and we'll utilize them throughout the book. All right, so those just all kind of stay in a pile. And I don't know if that's going to be out of camera or not, but it just kind of stays up in the top section of my items there. All right, so we have this flap. And like I said, what I did before was I folded this over and then put the pocket over it so that you couldn't see any of this. I took some, I think this is pumice stone. No, iced spruce, and put it around the edges because you will be able to see those edges. So I did that. I also went around the outside of everything. And again, this is the Tyvek reinforcing all of these folds so that with use they're not going to tear. Okay. Here we go. I have the flaps, and part of it is cut out and part of it is not. Let's see here. I got to remember which one was the top and which one was the bottom. Okay, this one is going to be here. Now, what I'm going to do is first, because I want these to match up, and trying to line them up and glue this one down and then glue this one down and get it lined up so that it's even is probably not going to be as easy as what I thought to do here is get this top section, and I'll go ahead and do both of them. Get this top section together, line them up, give it a little burnish so that glue spreads out nicely. All right, so now I've got them lined up as well as they're going to line up. That's going to go here. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I've got the flowers on this side, and I think this is just craft paper recollections maybe. I don't know, let me, no, this is Stampin' Up. I tell you, I have bought a lot of papers. And as far as cardstock, this is a solid core. Stampin' Up uses a solid core cardstock. It, to me, is, now some people like to have the white core to play around with. I don't know, but this being a solid core cardstock to me is, and it's a good weight for card making. It's a good weight for albums. It's just really, really a nice paper. So if you're having a hard time finding some cardstock that you really like, find yourself a Stampin' Up demonstrator and try some of their paper. It to me is the best paper. Okay, so I think I decided that I was going to put this on this side. So really now all it is I'm going to slide it on, line it up where I need it to be lined up. Again, the major, because I cut these a little more shallow because I don't want to get into my folding areas, and there's going to be a lot of paper to fold over and then fold over. So you want to leave yourself, I think this is 1/8 of an inch on both sides. So that would mean that you would cut it 1/4 of an inch shorter than between your two edges here. So that, you know, you can measure from right up to the crease to right up to the crease and decrease that amount 1/4 of an inch, and you'll get a nice, so whatever size envelope you're using, you can still make your own flap sizes. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to add some glue to my flaps. And get the center. And I want to add to the other side as well, so I'm just gonna, you probably can't see, all I'm doing is kind of spreading this out, and I want to make sure that I'm getting some good glue at right above the crease line. I want to make sure I'm getting some good glue there. So I'm going to slide this right in. Center it. Make sure that I'm in there 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch on both sides. And voila. I'm going to do some good burnishing. Always have a rag. Always have a rag. Let's see if I've gotten any over here. Yep. But now I'm well away from my crease. Got good folding. It lays down nice and flat, and I'm pretty much 1/8 of an inch on both sides here. Now when you're doing this one, you're going to want to make sure that not only are you getting it down far enough to not have too much of the flap showing, you're also going to want to make sure that these line up. Now this one I made a little bit larger, just kind of for some interest, but because I just didn't want to have all of this right at the crease line, so there's less paper for this to fold over on. But I made this one a little bit larger so that you can just see two different papers there, that it's not going to line up. The other one I lined up where they were perfectly on top of each other. I just thought this would be just another little fun thing. And I'm probably at this point, I think I'm going to go ahead and round these corners. I always like on interactive type things, I always like to round the corners of some of them. It just adds a little more interest, and it actually adds an ability to grab. I don't know why my thing leaves it leaves little pieces, so sometimes I have to do it twice. I don't know. I'm not that hard on it. I do use it a lot. So that just adds a little bit more interest than having everything sharp corners. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing here. I hope I actually did that on the right side. Yes, I did. How lucky. No? Yeah. How lucky is that? Duh. Okay. I am just having fun. Just having some fun. So I'm going to, again, get this right above, oh, I'm not very steady this morning, right above the crease line, and I'm going to want to do, I should have done the outside first. Going to want to do the same thing here. So do the outside first when you're It would probably be easier if I flipped it around, but I'm going to try and do it from a different angle so you can see maybe a different angle of what I'm doing. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to open my flap up, and I know that they're going to stay nice and straight because they're already glued together. I'm going to bring it down just to the score line, get that on and close it up, and make sure before it gets dry, because you know with Scotch dry you don't have much time. I want that to come down a little bit more. There we go. Get a little bit of glue on my, but that's all right. If you ever get, if you have a lightly damp cloth, it will pull a lot of that glue out. So let's get this all moved around in there. Make sure there's no extra glue coming out, inside and out. Now it didn't catch really well there, so I'm going to see if I can squeeze some glue down onto that edge there so we really get a nice seal on our edges. Okay, so there's that. And then this one, I'm going to do the same thing, but I realized that I haven't cut the second piece to go with it. So I'm going to have to figure out what second piece I'm going to want for the inside. I still have 3 sheets. Now these are the 2 that I originally had saved out for color coordination and things like that. So I still have 3 sheets to use. And I think since this is all so wild and colorful, that I am going to probably use this side here, so that will be that will kind of coordinate with this one here. And so now, let's see, instead of trying to redo the measurements and cut them, I am going to use my scissors, which I cleaned. Yay! When you want to clean your scissors up, you've got several options. Like these were very, very sticky. I tried using baby wipe, but it just wasn't getting the sticky off well enough. So I actually used Gooby Gone, and I sprayed a little bit on there, and I left it for a second or two, and then I wiped them off. And then I went and washed my scissors, because the Gooby Gone will leave a residue. So then I washed them and dried them really well. And it just keeps your scissors, I have since cut something that was sticky, but it really helps. I do have a pair of the titanium scissors that things don't get stuck on, but I tend to save these because they're a little smaller. I tend to save these for a little more fussy cutting type things. And I have the Cutter Bee EK Success scissors. These I've had for 6 or 7 years, and they're starting to not cut. They need to get sharpened, and you know, sharpening scissors is an art. It's not something you can just go and do, but I am trying to talk my husband into doing it. You know, start working on that, because I'm going to need it. So he's got an old pair of scissors he's practicing with. Okay, so I am just going to match this up. I give it a little bit of a bend. I don't know if you can see that. I give it a little bit of a bend so that it will hold this. If you just hold it straight, this paper won't stay as close to this one. So if you give it a little bit of a bend, it's now got that paper to hold a little bit more stiffer, I guess. So it's easier to kind of keep it right where I want it while I cut. if you try doing it with the curve and without the curve, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now I need to move my hand up a little bit so I can get a little bit more of a curve on there again. And it just I find it to be very helpful. And again, don't throw those scraps away because you can use them. It'll help embellish pages, especially when we're trying to stay with just using one 6x6 pad. There's, what was there, 24 sheets in there. So I'm trying to make this as cool but as economical as possible, and using up scraps from our scrap bin and supplies from our supply stash. So that was my challenge to you. Let's see, am I going to like a red there instead of that cream color? I actually think I do. I want these to be fun and vibrant pages. Let's see. I'm just playing here for a second. I just want to see. No, I don't like the red there. And I don't really like, well, but then when you open it up, it's so vibrant. Let's see. Do I like that there? I do like that there, because it's got all the colors that are over here. So I'm going to stick with that on that side. And I'm just wondering if I want to stick with this on this side or go with the original thought. I think I like that better. I'll let you look so you can, you would make your decision. But I'm going to go this way. And I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to glue my tops together. I'm going to make sure that I have it, my cut edges together so that it is as straight as can be. And get my glue down to my tip. Always want to shake your glue down to your tip, and it'll help make it not spurty. And if your bottle starts to get empty, I suggest you buy another one and squirt the excess into the new one. Or I was lucky enough to have one of these that has the stand-up lid. I don't know why Scotch Dry stopped doing this, because this is like the crafter's dream. So this bottle's pretty old, and I just buy the refills and fill this bottle up because I like the stand-up. I know where it is. It doesn't roll around on me. And I chatted a little too long, and that's not exactly straight, but it's good. Okay, I'm gonna burnish it and get that glue pushed around in there. A little excess off. Okay. I don't know if you guys have seen my 2014 craft room tour, but I have a pretty small space, so I have to keep everything kind of organized so that, because pretty much what you see on film is what the room I have. Maybe there's a little bit off to the side. There's about 6 inches off to the side. Let's see, where's my thumb? Yeah, there's about, from my thumb to the edge of the table is about 6 inches. And then from this, where my thumb is here, hopefully you can see it, I do have another 18 inches of table, but there's also a cabinet right here where at my shoulder, so I can't move over anymore. So I have to keep things pretty organized. Let's see, wrong way. I've done that before too. You guys have seen quite a few screw-ups on this book. So I want to make sure that when I put this, see, that's going to be too, I might have to cut this down a little bit. I'm going to take this because when I went to close it, it's too much paper too close. So I'm going to cut about 1/4 of an inch. Let me see. I'm going to cut, see how, see it, it's just not going to want to close. It's about that far from closing. So I'm going to cut, if I cut about See, I don't mind it showing this, but I don't really want it to show this, but I guess I could. I guess that would add more interest, wouldn't it? So that would be about 1/4 of an inch right there. So I think that's what I'll do. So I'm going to do that off camera instead of trying to fit this in. So this is a 5.5 inch sheet, and I'm going to go to 5 1/4. Get it on there. And I'm just going to cut that piece. There we go. And again, I'm going to save those. Okay, so now let's see. Let's see what we have here. Make sure it's going to work before we glue it down. And it's going to go right about there on this piece. And I still need to make sure that this is going to close nicely. So but there's plenty of room there for that to close nicely. And there I have, that's a nice interesting page. And it's going to be easy for pickup. I'm probably going to round these corners as well. It's going to be easy for pickup. See, right now I've got to try and get right at the edge of the page and get that corner where if I round it, then I'll be able to move past all of these little pieces of paper. Because eventually you're going to start picking at this thing, trying to get this open, and I don't want that. I want it to be able to open easily. So let me go ahead and do this on the 1/2 inch side. There we go. And let me show you now. Again, before we glue it down. Every time I make a change, I always want to try it out before I glue it down. So now it's easier to get this, to grab it with your finger and open it up. Okay. All right, so, and learning from my mistake, I'm going to do the outside first. All around here. You notice I'm not going all the way to the ends because this doesn't go all the way to the ends. I do believe it comes out further than that. And then I'm going to do the inside. All right. Make sure I have the right. Okay, so now we're going to center it on here, and then close it up and make sure that it all looks good and it's all pushed as far in as it can, but allowing everything to let me push before I dry it off, because the tips need to have all of that glue moved around to make sure my tips get nice and glued down. Now I'm going to open it up and do the same thing. Make sure I've got glue on all my tips. And try not to transfer the glue from your bone folder onto your tops of your paper when you're doing that. So again, that's why it's always good to have a rag. I also cleaned my bone folder. I put some Gooby Gone on it, and it missed a few things, but not much. This might have been from yesterday. And I also, when I don't know if you're supposed to do this or not, but I take one of these little, I think this is a fingernail file. I'm not sure. It might just be a regular sandpaper thing. And I go over my bone folder to get the crud off. I tend to like things, if they're supposed to be smooth, I like them to be smooth. It's kind of weird, I guess, but, and it just cleans it up. I also will run it along the edges if I start getting a burr or something on it where it's scratching the paper. I would love to have one of those, what do you call them? Teflon ones. I would love to have one of those, but with shipping, it would be, you know, like $40-something. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not going to spend that kind of money on a bone folder. Everyone says they're worth them, and I'm sure it is, but not for me. $40 will go a long way on other things. So now I have a nice page that closes very nicely. This closes very nicely. This flips open nice. So now all I need to do is cover this piece, and I'm going to have to dig into my... Nick, Milo, honey, please. Shush. Yeah, boop, boop. And you know what? I guess I'm going to have to wait on this. I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to do here, because I only have these 2 sheets left. I might have to break into either a piece of paper in my stash, which I'm sure I can find, but I'm not going to take time while we're doing this. Because I don't want to get into my second book. I want to try and do just one book. But I know I'll have a piece of paper in my stash that I can stick on the front and on the back to finish this out. So I will get on to that. But right now, I'm going to leave that. And let's see, what am I at? I'm at 31 minutes. So I'm going to stop this video, and I'll come back starting to embellish, and I'll have the piece to go on the front and the back of the envelope. All right, guys. So comment, leave questions. I would love to hear from you. If you like this video, take the time to push that little like button for me, and subscribe so that you can get all of these videos that I'm doing, and you can see the whole series. So thank you very much for sharing your time with me, and I hope I've inspired you to do something fun and exciting and use your stash instead of going out and buying. And this is kind of my mantra for this year. I need to get through some of the stuff I have that I bought that I love, but it's just sitting. So that's mine. So we will continue to do these kind of projects throughout this year. All right, guys. See you later. Find your happy place and start crafting. Bye.